Hi, I'm Sherry and welcome back to my channel, Sherry Jones Designs. In today's video, we are going to be making a really fun little jumper dress right here. And it's not hard, so it's a great beginner project, but it's really cute. The first thing you're going to need is some denim, just a pair of jeans, a pair of ruined jeans. We're just going to be mostly using the legs of the jeans. And then I'm also going to be using some men's shirt sleeves for this. Now, if you don't already have some cut or some angled pieces of fabric, either one would work. Just, you can use any type of fabric. It could be knits, you know, something really silky, whatever you would like to use for the bottom of this is going to be fine. I'm going to be using men's sleeves, and you notice in a men's sleeve, like they have an angle to them. And then when you cut them open, you know, you've got kind of a triangle that's cut off at the top. So that's what we're going to be using for the bottom of this. But let's get started on the top, and I'm going to tell you how to make it your size. If you don't have one of these cloth tape measures, you need to go right away to your Walmart or someplace like that and go to the craft department and get one. They're usually quite cheap, and they're so handy because they're flexible. But basically you want to measure your bust because you're going to have to make sure it is big enough to fit around you, yet leave a little bit. You're going to want a little gapping in the back for the tie to see, because it doesn't come completely closed. It comes about 2 to 3 inches. So let's say if you were 30 in your bust, you need to subtract about 2 inches from that, and that is as wide of a piece of denim that you need. Now, if you're really large busted, this may not fit you quite right because it is going to be flat around here. If you're super large, you would have to maybe add some darts in or something like that. And also another thing is using a stretchy denim is probably going to be a lot more comfortable for this top. But if you do that, it also will not fray as much, which is a really fun look. So you know, you got to weigh that up, which one matters the most to you. This is so easy to make that you can make several different versions to find the one that you like. And it's because it's not super labor intensive or really expensive using a lot of clothes. Basically a ruined pair of jeans and probably 2 men's shirts if you're just going to use the sleeves. So you're going to need probably at least 4 sleeves. If you're bigger, or if you're need it bigger than that, you could use the bottoms of the shirts cut into triangles to fill in the other pieces. So I can't see that you would need more than 2 shirts and a pair of jeans to do this. So okay, so let's get started. Real quickly, I do want to say that you can, if you got denim scraps, you could sew them together for this top border. So if you have denim scraps laying around, you really wouldn't even need the pair of jeans. Okay, let's get started and let's make it fun. I'm going to use scraps, is what I'm going to use. Once you've measured all the way around and got your bust size this way, then you need to measure from where you would want this to start and however big you are on your bust to come under the bust, about just kind of right under your bust here. And that's how big you need your front, how tall your front piece would need to be. I'm going to make mine 10 inches and then big enough to go around, which I haven't measured yet, but anyways, I'm going to make mine 10 inches and then wide enough to go around minus about 2 inches of my back. So that's where you would need to start. You'd need that measurement. I'm going to be using a variety of colors in mine. Now, I'm going to be doing it kind of in squares. I'm not going to sew it like that. But this is what, you know, if you cut jeans apart in the legs, you're going to get pieces like this. And I've got a bunch of them already. And so I'll sit down at the machine and show you how I'm going to be doing my patchwork on this. And I'm going to want square pieces to be a little bit square, and I really want to see fraying, so I'm not going to worry about that. And on my top edge, I want it to be a raw seam. I don't really want something heavy on my top edge. So I'm going to start, make sure I've got a straight bottom edge here that's fairly straight. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then I'm going to measure up 10 inches to let me know. Oops, wrong end of the tape measure. And see, I don't really care if it's got some things in the middle of it. But we're going to go for 10 inches high. And this is just going to be the piece I'm going to kind of measure everything to. Like this. And I'll just use different pieces. Oops, I just threw that over there. It just went right to the floor. I don't really want this angle here. I'm going to take that off. And then I'll just throw, and I don't really care which way my denim, like this one stretches this way. You could be more particular, make sure your stretch is going this way, that your legs are running that way. I'm not really going to worry about it. And so like this one doesn't fit this way. That's okay. I could put it on this way. I just want to see a lot of different denim accents and pieces, and or I could go this way and like make this straight and then get another piece of denim and just sew it over there to get my width. And that's what I'm going to do for the full length of what I want. I'm also going to be using gold thread, so because my gold thread is stronger and it also just looks denim. So, you know, it says denim, but you wouldn't have to. You could use white thread on this, black thread, any color thread that you want to use on this. All right, I wanted to point out that when you're doing like patchwork or you're using jeans, feel free to use the wrong side of the jean. Notice how much lighter it is. So sometimes when I want a lighter color, I'll just flip something over, and it just also gives you, if you like denim accents and stitching and things like that, it'll give you some fun things that you'd normally not see. It'll give that to you in your patchwork. Now, I could just sew this on right here, or I could go like this and have that come back a little bit, and that's going to make it fun. I'll have to trim my back side up, but I'm going to just do that, and then I'll just pivot. And we'll stitch and that's what I'm going to do. And I'm using zigzag because I like it. You can use straight stitch. And I'm going to keep doing that kind of thing until I get my whole piece done long enough. And I want to see the raw edge on the top and bottom of mine. If you don't want to see the raw edge, you're just going to leave enough when you do your measurements for a hem. To hem it nicely, you can even turn it twice if you like this. And just do a hem like that. But do know that like when you hem, it makes it harder for it to stretch. If I've got a hem there, it's a little harder for it to stretch than if there was no hem. So if you're counting on the stretch and you do a hem on it, you're going to lose your stretch around the top at least. So just to keep that in mind. You don't have to do squares. I am doing square shapes, and but you don't have to do that at all. I'm not really even paying attention to the grain of a fabric. I'm just any which way will do here for me. I'm just going to kind of lay this one either this way or this way. That side's kind of cool too. Kind of like it, but I think I'm going to go this way. Although I've got a seam already there. Might be kind of fun for your eye to look up and see the seam up here. You know, it's interesting that we like as humans, we like interesting things to look at. You know, anytime you add more details, like when you're done with this, you could even add other patches out on it, and just I don't know why we're like that, but you know, humans we like things that either are entertaining, have details. You know, as a creative person, I think that they end up being hoarders because it's so hard to throw things away when you can imagine all the things you could do with it. Like you feel like you're throwing away all that potential. Maybe it's not hoarding. Maybe it's collecting at that point. Maybe hoarding is when you save things like you just don't throw out your trash or something. I don't know. So here we have our denim piece we made. Now, I'll show you the way this is going to wear. It'll wear like this. This will be the back of the bust, and it's going to have ties here. And you slip this on overhead. That's how you put this one on, over your head. Now, what I like about this is you can adjust these straps according to what you're going to layer. So it makes it kind of fun that way. And so the first thing I'm going to do is find my center here, like this, by matching those and finding my center. That's going to be the center front. And for me, that ended up right on this, which is fine. Now we're going to do our straps, front straps. Now, what I wanted to point out is that that's going to depend on how wide your shoulders are and things like that. Or maybe you want straps to come out further on the shoulders or closer in. I find about 7.5 inches, somewhere around there, is usually most common what I use. So for that, you're just going to take, for me, I'm going to go 3 3/4 is where I'm going to go to from this pin. And I'm going to put another pin in. And this is going to be the center of my side strap right here. Now, if you want to have, let's see, 7.5, let's see, 3 3/4 out this side. That's going to put me out here, right here. Now, depending on how you want to wear yours, if you're wearing a shirt under it, not how wide, like you might want to have a strap that covers your bra strap. In that case, there are several different things you can do. You could use a waistband, like, let me see if I can grab one here out of my basket. We could use one of these waistband straps and put it on even on the front like this. It'd be really cute. You could use a narrow strap like one of these pieces of jeans and put that on there. And I'm going to look and see if I got one of these, because that's the one I prefer to use. I'm going to use on this one. I actually like the waistbands too. They're really cute, especially if you use the button part and put that there. That is really cute. I'm trying to decide if that's actually what I want. But if you use a strap that ties, you could also just use the t-shirt yarn for the strap as well. You could use men's ties. These are different ideas that I'm giving you, so you can make something that you like. I'm going to be using the narrower one. Usually your straps end up being somewhere between 15 and 17 inches long per strap. Okay, because this is celebrating denim and fraying and seams, I'm just going to go ahead and use some more seams for my straps. And I'm going to come down just a little ways because it's fun. And I will be sewing on these little straps right now. Here, we're going to do that. And then we'll flip it over and sew them on the back side here. But I'm just going to go ahead and tack these on. I'm going to flip this over because my tie strap is going to come down on this back side. And this is where you need to know the center of your back here. So we want it to be the same. You don't want one side to be wider than the other. So what you're going to do is measure from here out to here and from here to here and make sure they're the same. The gap here is okay because it's going to, it's meant to be seen through anyways. So, but the biggest thing is you want these back straps to be the same distance apart on each side, so that when you tie this, your back, it ends up in the middle of your back. I hope that makes sense. Okay, we're going to sew those on, and then we're going to we're going to sew all the fabric to the bottom of it. And then we'll finish this part here last. Next, we are going to start sewing our sleeves on. Now, I'm going to start with one of these green ones. I'm going to stitch these down. I'm going to close these first. I just don't want that gapping while I'm wearing it. And I'm going to just start. I want this to be one of the ones that I would see on the front. Our ties are going to be sewn on here. And I don't really want, this is so thin, I don't want this to fray. I'm going to fold this under just about 1/4 of an inch. And let me turn it this way. We're going to fold that about 1/4 of an inch under to start right where this denim starts. And we're going to start like that. And then I'm going to just lightly gather it. If I run up short on the other end, I'll add something. And I'm just going to lightly gather it underneath there and sew it down. And this one has a fold, kind of a natural fold where the sleeve was cut. So it's already folded under for me. So the next one I'm going to throw in here. So I'm going to throw this brown one in there. I'm kind of going light, dark, light, dark. I'm just going to tuck it under this one like that. Just tuck it under there. And then I'm going to lightly gather it. And you wouldn't have to sew these. I mean, they're not really going to gap that much. And I'm going to be wearing a shirt under it anyway, so I guess I really didn't even have to do that. But if you're wearing it as a dress, you might not want that gap. So it's okay if it doesn't come to all the way to the back, because what we're going to add next, I'm going to be closing that up with a piece of a sleeve. I'll show you. And I'll show you how it closes. What you want to have when it comes around to closing up on the back here. So you've got your two sides. And remember, they got to be about 3 inches apart. Is you're going to go ahead and just fill in however wide your gap piece ended up being. But you do want to have a piece that's going to come across the back for the dress. That way, if this is pulled in, it'll shrink with it and it'll come out. But it's only going to come out as wide as this piece that you put in from here to here. If you've done just fabric, then you would just, make sure that that this is your skirt. Let's say this was just a skirt, that this ends and leaves a gap on that skirt. I mean, a skirt would be a super fast way to do this. So when you're sewing your last sleeve in or whatever fabric here, leave yourself enough room to hem this. I'm going to go ahead and close it. I think I'll make it easier to hem. I haven't been doing that. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and hem it before it even goes in. I'm going to go ahead and turn it twice, just a little, sort of a little handkerchief hem. All right, now you're going to want to take the other side that you're sewing to, and you're going to want to just gather this and sew over it to close in the amount. You could actually use an elastic and have an elastic back on this if you wanted. But I'm not going to. I'm going to just be attaching it to this one because we've already got a nice hem on it. I don't want it gathered heavy because the rest of it's not gathered really heavy. And I'm going to go forwards about 3 inches, and then I'm going to sew. I'm just going to estimate it out about 3 inches. And then I'm going to sew it right to this here. And I'll be trimming the rest off. I'm just going to go down each one of these and sew them shut. Okay, I've sewn my sleeves together. I've got a gap here. It's a little bit bigger than I'd planned. That's just fine because it'll tie. And when it ties, I mean, it might do like that. And you could use an elastic in the back to make sure that it goes in. But I kind of like knowing I've got extra. I love wearing extra big things. And so now I've got a waistband here. You could technically use anything for this or nothing. You don't even have to put this here. But what I'm going to do is to hide where I sew my straps on. You wouldn't have to hide it. but I know that they could endure some stress. Just to be cute, I'm going to use pieces of a waistband. You could use another piece of denim also to sandwich this. And what I'm going to use for my ties is I have 3-inch strips of knit here. You can use any kind of fabric for this. This could be fluffy cotton, could be lace, it could be, you know, anything like that. And they're 3 inches by, I don't know how long. It was basically the bottom of a t-shirt I cut. And I have here 19.5 inches. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, when you stretch them, they look like this. This is a very heavy cottony t-shirt. But what I'm going to do is at equal intervals, in 3 places back here, they will be sewn on to tie them shut. Here, I'm going to stretch them and make them kind of smallish like that. And then what I'm going to do is after I get them, as I sew them on for my straps, like I said, you could just sew them on and leave them like that. But I think it would be cute to hide them under a piece of denim waistband or just a piece of denim coming over the top like that. And I want 3 of these, you know, 3 on each side because we're going to be tying them together. So here I've got 1. Go ahead and stretch them out a little bit. And so I will just be pinning them on. You want it fairly close to the top because you won't be able to tie your top shut. And let me grab some pins here. I probably could just clip them too. And you want to make sure that they match on the other side. So let's say I've got 1 there. Then I'm going to want to put 1 even with that, where that one is sewn on. Like that one would make sure that it's sewn on reasonably in the same area. And I'm just going to sew back up the other side. Now if the waistband is too much for your machine, you can use, could be a piece of decorative fabric, another piece of denim, it could be anything like that. I'm going to do this one and I'll show you what we have. So this is what it looks like. It's a cute little dress. And the back is really cute because you've got the ties. And you could honestly shorten it to any height you would want. You know, you could have gone with a flat hem on it and made it really, really short, which would be fun too. I can see all kinds of different ways you could do this. You could have pockets on it. You could even go longer for like a maxi dress sort of look. I really like the ties. If this gap here was too much, I could have put an elastic in it that's in the back. But I like it. It's very comfortable. It's very versatile. You do have to kind of adjust it before you get in it though, because of the ties in the back, you can't really do that very well. I mean, I can kind of do it. It's kind of like tying an apron, but up high to kind of try to tie yourself into it. It's a little bit tricky, so you kind of have to tie it before you get in. But it is a little tricky on your shoulders. See, I redid the ties. Now which I'm trapped, I won't be able to get out. I tightened them too tight. I have to call out for help. 911, help! I'm stuck in my dress. Anyways, guys, I hope you like this tutorial. If you did get some good out of this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget, also there is a Discord, so if you want to share anything, pictures of anything you've made, or have any questions or anything, you can go over there. It's free, and the link to that is also in the description. And anyways, guys, it was fun. I hope to see you next time, and until then, happy sewing. Bye!